What would happen if someone took a seriously hard, honest look at your brand?
There was nothing when I was taking care of my folks. I was on my own.
Your website, your social media, your everything.
They would find me, and I would have to make a decision as to whether she would live or die.
And told you exactly what's holding you back.
I had a doctor say, if things don't change, you're going to die first.
That's what I'm doing today with my guest, Pam Landry.
I'm a National Board of Health and Wellness Coaches certified coach,
a caregiving coach who is struggling to get in the right clients and making end meets in her business. You have a life outside of just your caregiving duties. Don't forget that. I'll be breaking down Pam's brand piece by piece.
You are intriguing me because you're helping me see things that no one else has helped me see.
Giving her real feedback, no filter, completely raw.
Bring it on. You know, kid gloves don't help you.
So that I can show her what's broken and what needs to be fixed.
I'm listening to the screen and I'm hearing my mother's voice and she's telling me what to do. You need to coach caregivers.
Fairy BOSSmother way. Not your call, wicked expensive, and shut up. This is my business.
I didn't say shut up. You know, there was surprise.
Yeah. If you've ever felt stuck in your business, this episode is for you. I can feel something coming out of you, Pam. I'm Tarlene, your personal brand expert, and let's meet Pam Landry. This episode of the Fairy BOSSmother was brought to you by Paramount Tax, based in Massachusetts. And this amazing company is run by none other than tax samurai Jeffrey Hines Fry. If you have a tax accountant, tax strategy, tax anything, it does not matter, because you need Paramount Tax to check over your last 3 years of return, and they can see whether it was, number one, done right, number two, if you're missing out on any money that is owed to you, and number three, making sure that you actually don't pay as much taxes as you should do. So if you need the tax samurai himself, go to Paramount Tax for your taxing needs. Now, before we meet Pam, I asked her some basic questions about her business and what she's done, where she is right now, so that I can pinpoint exactly where the broken piece is in her business. Let's take a look. Okay, so when I asked her, what is your business all about and who do you serve? Pam says, I help working family caregivers reconnect with their inner wisdom and feel more appreciated in their daily lives. My caregivers and I discovered together the closed mindset and limiting beliefs that have made them feel unappreciated and not good enough. Family caregivers seek me out when they feel so unhappy that they are becoming resentful of their loved one in their care. Seeing no way out, they unconsciously decide that the health and well-being of their loved one in their care is more important than their own, which makes them seek change. Okay, there was a lot of big words that Pam was using that an average person or her ideal client might not understand. Things like saying your inner wisdom is very fluffy, and then saying things like the closed mindset or limiting beliefs. Her clients might not even know that is what's happening with them. So when you're using this type of language to explain your clients' problems, they'll shut down and they probably don't even want to engage with that whatsoever. So language here is definitely going to be an issue when it comes to looking at Pam's brand. And I don't think she's able to clearly articulate exactly what problem she's fixing and why. When I asked Pam, what are your main goals for your business right now? Pam says, a medical issue made me step back last year. I'm rebuilding the awareness of my business offerings from scratch. That's really hard. I appreciate her honesty. She also says, a huge part of me is rebuilding my email list. One of my long-term goals for 2025 is to be able to help at least 50 caregiving clients feel seen, heard, resulting in empowering them to take actions to revive their health and well-being with confidence. That takes a lot of guts, and I really applaud Pam for even coming to this show, because this is going to be something that she's going to work really hard on. So I want to make sure that we are positioning Pam in the right way so that she's attracting the right clients. And I'm also going to be curious to know what kind of freebies or lead magnets she's got, and whether her website is pulling any of the right people in or doing any of that work, full stop. And then I asked Pam, what's your biggest challenge you're currently facing in reaching those goals. So Pam said, my medical issue was with my eyes, so screen time was limited at different points due to 3 surgeries and medications. Oh, Pam, big love to you, big love to you. Currently reading is still difficult, but not impossible. My stamina also took a hit, but it's slowly returning. That's really tricky. But because Pam has gone through medical issues, this is something that she can use and reflect it back in her business. Because if she's helping caregivers who are struggling with their own well-being, imagine she can say, hey, I've gone through the same thing. Here's the mirror, but here's a solution on how you can fix it. Slowly but surely, you'll get back on your feet. Last but not least, I asked Pam if she's done any work in building her personal brand. And she says, yes, even though I couldn't sign clients. I did have my website redone, obtained new skills for coaching groups, invested a program in launching my programs, signed up with a sales mentor, and had a session with my public relations coach for creating my PR and visibility plan for 2025. She's doing a lot. And then she says, I've tried to lay the groundwork for moving forward successfully. One of the first things on my to-do list is to replace my Google emails with Calendly for scheduling curiosity calls and to reinstate my financial app for receiving payment. So a lot of the foundational work is definitely in place. She's clearly on the path to personal growth in her business. So I'm very curious to see what she's actually done for her personal brand, because a lot of it is skill-based programs, and the fact that she's putting herself forward for public relations is a really good sign that she's ready to attract opportunities. I'm now going to see whether her personal brand as it is right now is going to attract any opportunities whatsoever, despite the effort that she's put in the foundation of her business. Let's meet Pam Landry. Welcome to the Fairy BOSSmother Show, Pam. I'm so excited to have you. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine today. How about you?
Doing excellent. I cannot wait to learn more about your business, because I actually don't know what you do at all. So this will be a first look for me. Before we get started though, Pam, I'm going to do a quick vibe check.
Okay.
So depending on how you're feeling and what your mood is like, would you like the full-on Fairy BOSSmother? That means no filter, straight shooting and giving you my exact opinion and feedback? Or would you like the kiddie gloves and go slightly softer on you?
No, bring it on. Go, kid gloves don't help you. You don't grow through kid gloves.
Okay. Right. Pam has asked for no filter, so that's exactly what you're going to get. Pam, I would love to learn about you. So who are you and what do you do?
My name is Pam Landry, and I'm a National Board of Health and Wellness Coaches certified coach. And I actually coach mostly working family caregivers for well-being and empowerment, helping them with their mindset and making it a whole lot easier to be a caregiver when you're not freaking out every second of the day. And I know how that feels because I was one for both my parents. And so I actually got all the coaching skills, all the certifications, so that I would be well equipped to provide them with a higher level of, support, for their well-being.
It sounds like this is quite personal to you. So let's take a step back. Before you started your business and decided, you know what, I'm going to be a certified coach. I want to help families who are in distress and they have a lot of responsibilities. What made you decide this is the path that you're going to be taking, Pam?
Well, it'll sound kind of weird, but there were two things that happened. One is there was nothing when I was taking care of my folks. I was on my own, and I also had the power of attorney. So especially with my mom, there were a lot of health issues, and she would end up in the emergency department a lot. And I traveled for a living. And at that point in time, they would find me, and I would have to make a decision as to whether she would live or die based on her wishes. And that's a really hard place to be. So, which is why I say mostly working family caregivers, because that's where I came from. So I know best what those stresses are. And if you have the power of attorney for healthcare, your life just became really complicated. Now you're the advocate.
Yeah, and their life is in your hands, which is The responsibility is insurmountable. Absolutely. So, and you mentioned how back when you were a caregiver to your parents, you didn't have the support that you wished you had. So how were you looking for that support back then?
Basically, I wasn't. I wasn't because there wasn't any, how do I put this? Caregivers were not discussed. Having that you're taking care of an elderly parent with medical challenges is not something you were allowed to discuss. Obviously, you're working, you want to tell your immediate supervisor, right? Because, if you're going to get that phone call and you got to go, you got to go. You're legally responsible. So it's not a matter of, okay, I need to go because it's my mom. Obviously, that's part of it, but you're legally bound to be there. So it was difficult. I was fortunate in that I did have some help. My older brother and his wife came to help so I could continue to work and continue to travel, but they had no authority as far as making healthcare decisions, nor would I have given it to them. It's difficult for family members when they suddenly realize what you've been going through. It took me about a week. I took 2 weeks of vacation when she came to live with me, and it wasn't 3 days and I'm like, I can't do this by myself. I can't. She's 24/7. I can't. I got to have help. So my older brother had said, if you need me, call. So I called and he said, oh boy, do I need you, right? Because there's just a lot of things involved in that probably not something that we need to discuss totally here, but many things that are not covered by Medicare and supplemental insurances. So I needed to work so I could make sure she had everything she needed to survive. But there becomes a point where you don't realize what you're doing to yourself. And I had a doctor say, if things don't change, you're going to die first. They want a wake-up call. And I don't want other caregivers to be there, although they probably won't come to me until they are. But knowing what to do after that is paramount to, recognizing that they matter. Their life matters just as much, if not more, because who's going to take care of them if you're not there?
Right. Because especially when you're a caregiver, you are giving care. You're giving so much of yourself, your time, your energy, just to ensure that they are taken care of, they are protected, they are safe, they have everything that they need to be comfortable where they are now. And then, of course, your self-care goes right to the bottom because you don't have time or the energy or the headspace to say, do you know what? I'm going to take care of Pam today. I don't need to take care of you because that's just in the moment, it's not an option. So as a coach, I'm curious to know when you are working with, I guess, the working family caregivers, who are they typically? Who are your typical clients? And when should they be getting in touch with you versus how are they getting in touch with you now?
Okay. I belong to various groups on Facebook groups, and so some of them find me that way. I had one who sought me out while I was still in coaching school, right? And I say that because it really was. I mean, you had lessons and you had to do, you had to do practice and all kinds of stuff. But that particular client had already been to a therapist and felt like they got nothing out of it. They refused to go back because that's my first question. Because it depends on where you are as a caregiver in that process. If your mindset is such that all you need to do is just let it out and have someone tell you what to do, then I'm not your girl. Because while I'm heart-based coaching, I'm not going to tell you what to do.
Yeah. And just thinking about you as a coach and how you started your business, what made you decide this is the path that you wanted to build your business on? And how long have you been in business for, Pam?
I actually started my business in fall of 2020.
Okay. Yeah.
I graduated from the coaching school, signed up for the course that leads to the certification. And the very next day, I got laid off.
Oh my gosh.
I could do two things. One of two things. I could freak out and get mad and upset because I was on vacation. They contacted me on vacation.
Wow, that's the speed of them. Wow, that's incredible.
Well, I don't know what all went on before that, but the point was I could either blow up or I could say, wait a minute, because I traveled, remember? I was going, how am I going to coach people and travel? I'm like, thank you, universe, right? You just solved that problem for me. So they were quite shocked that I didn't freak out. But to tell you the truth, I don't think I was really enjoying it that much. I was a corporate trainer, and you can only go so far because you can only train people on what you're told to train on. And it doesn't involve the individual people and how they feel about things. Yeah. So that's how, when I started my business, But as far as going with the caregivers, remember I said we would listen to them coach someone. They would do laser coaching with someone, and you were looking to see what you should do in that instance, possibly, as an example. And I'm listening to this going on, and I'm in a headset like this.
Yeah.
Right. And I hear my mother's voice, right? I'm listening to the screen and I'm hearing my mother's voice and she's telling me what to do. You need to coach caregivers. I'm like, okay, that's weird. I think I just got the message as to what type of coach, because that's one of the things you don't necessarily know what type of coach you're going to be.
They need quick action, not only for the person that they're caring for, but also for themselves, because time is at the essence. They have a lot of decision fatigue. There's a lot of emotions. You mentioned the family dynamics already. That's already a tricky subject matter, right? Especially if your family are volatile and don't get along, or there's a lot of high emotion and high tension. Then you have to think about, I've got to take care of myself as well and eat and do my basics. I haven't been to the bathroom for 5 hours because I was stuck doing this, like the very basic stuff. And then you talking about the microbiomes, that is fascinating. That's such a good link between health, self-care, and caregiving.
Right.
When you break it down in the most simplest term, if you don't take care of what goes inside your body, the output is going to be decreased as well, right? Your energy is low, you have to eat. I mean, you're not able to sleep, you can't concentrate. A lot of these stuff are basic things that we all understand. And in caregiving, you're cranking up that notch a lot higher because you're caring for someone who you deeply love, but because you love them so much, emotions are very, very high. So how do you deal with all of that, Pam?
As far as what my caregivers are like, I just meet them where they are. I consider that my secret weapon is, I don't know if you get that from here, but most of the time, my clients will eventually say, I feel like I could tell you anything, and you wouldn't tell anyone else. Why would I? That's confidential as far as I'm concerned. I might give you some overview type of things that would be common among people who are having, issues with high stress and anxiety, but never would I give you so much that you'd know who they were, because it's irrelevant to trying to explain how you support. I use a lot of different tools. Initially, I ask them to take an online assessment of strengths because they don't think about their strengths. I mean, people tell them how strong they are and they're like, oh, please, that's no help. Why don't you volunteer to come? Right? But they need to recognize, in order to focus on them, I have to have them focus on them.
I am curious to know how you show up online, Pam. I don't know if you've ever Googled yourself, but if I was looking for someone like you, what would you hope I would find when I type in your name?
I called myself a interconnection well-being coach, but most people don't understand what interconnection is.
We're going to have a quick look because I'm dying to see what the world is saying about you. So I'm just going to share my screen and check you out, Pam. So is it Pam or is it Pamela?
Well, and I have Pam on the website and everywhere else. Yeah. I mean, formally, yeah, my official name is Pamela, but I go by Pam.
Okay. So I'm just going to type in Pam Landry and see what comes up. And then I'm going to check out Pamela Landry because I want to see if there's any discrepancy on how you're up. Right, let's Google Pam Landry. First of all, are any of these people you?
No.
No? Okay, I'm going to keep going down. Does anything stick out that belongs to you? I'll scroll down. So we have a Pam Landry who is a air host, writer, audio producer. We have an actress called Pam Landry.
Landy. She's Landy without the R. Yeah, from all the...
There's Pam Landry over here. So there's quite a few Pam Landrys here. And none of these are you.
Right. None of them are mine. But I would expect it to be more under Coach Landry. Okay. And then you'll get football coaches too.
Exactly. All right.
Well, there I am over there.
Right over here, there's our lovely Pam over here, and then everything else is basically someone else. Any of this like surprise or shock you that you're not founded under Pam Landry?
Not terribly. Oh, there's another picture of me. How about that? That one's after a workout. That's when I was concentrating on nutrition and health. Right. Yeah. That's all about health.
This one right here. Let's click on this one. So this is the coach Pam Landry. But again, we only 2 photos come up for you.
Right. So yeah, there aren't, because if it wasn't snowing in Atlanta for the last 2 weeks, right, or bitter cold, I had planned on getting additional photographs taken so that I would have more to be able to use.
Okay. Well, judging by this, I'm just going to scroll down because there is a lot of Pam Landrys on the internet. Some, there's a lot of things that are showing up. Just from a quick point of view, you're not showing up at all. You only have those two images. So there is a lot of competition for your name, even under Pam Landry. Now, if we were to go to Pamela Landry, do you even show up here? Can't see that photo of you in that lovely blue.
Well, there's the workout one, but
Where's Workout Landry?
on the third row, kind
There
of
we
in the
go.
middle.
There
Yeah.
we go. Okay.
Wow, I didn't even know that one was still out there.
Exactly. Do you think this is a good representation of you, Pam?
Well, not from my name, no, but I wasn't, well, you know what? I'm thinking about that because Instagram's my name and
Yeah, even Instagram.
yeah,
I've got your Instagram.
it's not going to be a picture in there because I haven't focused on it yet.
Okay.
That's my 2025 focus is IG.
Okay, awesome, awesome. And then looking at just Pam Landry, again, nothing is coming up, not even your Instagram. And then if I was to go Coach Pam, because you mentioned Coach Pam, let's see what comes up. We have a Coach Pam, and it's not you, and she just happens to be a life coach, which is a little bit of a competitor when you're talking about coaching in general. Life coach and caregiving coaching is somewhat in the same realm. So are you surprised that you're not showing up as much? Because I am. I thought I would see a little bit more.
Well, I haven't really, I didn't search on my name. I'm always searching on my business name.
Okay, let's look at your business name. What is your business name?
Coach Landry.
Okay, so that is what I did. Okay, let's have a look. Oh dear. So we have
well, yeah, I do it to put don't put a space in it and see what happens. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, let me just quickly go on the all. I just want to see what comes up. So yeah, you are in competition with another Coach Landry who happens to be a famous
deceased, actually.
Also deceased. So
because I'm in the South, I understand who that is.
Yeah. But you are in competition with the dead, my friend. And if you were to go Coach Landry, so the thing is, no one really searches like this. It's always a noun dash, a space, and then another noun or adjective is word space word. It's very rare that people are going to search your business name together. So this is why it's really important. One of the reasons why I look at your name, Pam, is without you, there's no business. And you are the reason why people are getting in touch with you. It's got nothing to do with your business. It's got nothing to do with the modalities that you work in or the service that you provide. It's because of your kind eyes. It's because of the fact that you've been through the experiences that they are going through right now. You understand them at such a core level. And the difference between your client and you, Pam, is you actually have a solution on how to navigate through this very complicated journey that they are in right now.
Right.
So when you're not found, even with, variations of your name, just your name, I couldn't find you. And if I can't find you, how are your perfect clients going to find you?
Well, awareness is one of the things that I've been frustrated with. So, hey.
Yeah. So
you're confirming that actually.
How are people finding you? I'm curious.
Word of mouth.
Okay.
Sometimes in a group that's totally focused on something else, and I'll publish a freebie there, because of how that particular group works. I'm not a therapist and I don't claim to be. And unfortunately, there's a lot of negative stigma around coaching amongst this group. So yeah, I'm like, all right, I'm done with this. I have got to find a way to help them know I'm here.
It sounds like coaching is not the right word for you with what you offer and what you provide. I'm going to look in your website because I'm curious about how you are putting yourself forward. So you mentioned that you recently redid your website. The first thing I
hired someone to do it for me. Because I had done it myself to begin with. And then I had a number of different coaches along the way tell me what to do.
Yeah.
And so it was to a point where I hated it. I didn't like it anymore at all.
Just by looking at it, this is the first time I'm seeing your website. When I first look at your website, Pam, I don't know who you're talking to. You mentioned there's a lot of call to actions right there. So I'm trying to read what it says. It's going very fast. So the first call to action is unleash your real potential and live limitless. Then it says unlock your true potential with Coach Landry. Then it says a healthy life is within reach. And then it cycles back again.
Mhm.
I want to know what problem you're fixing. What are you fixing? And whose problem are you fixing? And why are you the best person who can fix this problem? That's the first question that comes to my mind. And that's not very clear just by looking in your homepage. And then there's a lot of talk about coaching, coaching, coaching. And you already mentioned that coaching is a problematic word within your industry. So it sounds like we need to position you slightly differently, where you're not Coach Landry per se, like the Tom Coach Landry that we saw, the football player. We don't want you confused with someone who coaches like that, because you're very much supportive in nature, right?
Right.
You give your clients what they need, but they just don't know what they need. They don't have that introspection. There's a lot of noise and a lot of clouded emotion that stops them from thinking critically for themselves. And there's a lot of emotional disruption. It's impossible for them to know what they need at that moment, especially for themselves. And it sounds like these are some of the clarity that you provide for your clients. I'm not seeing that kind of language coming through with your copy. Would you say that's an accurate assessment?
Yeah. I mean, given where you are here, yeah. Well, I obviously have to have a scope of practice, because I don't want them to think that I'm a therapist, because I'm not.
That's fine.
That's not where my focus is. I deal in their future, helping them have hope that they will have a future, that they can have it now,
But
at
it's
least.
almost like implying once your loved one dies, then you'll have that back, which is a little morbid. So
not exactly. It's more, yeah, but you've got to take steps to get there, and maybe that doesn't necessarily have to do with death. Some caregivers are temporary. They need to help someone get well. It's more along the lines of coping better.
yeah, what I'm seeing, just looking at your homepage, there's a lot of focus about I help. Well, I am an expert. I have been trained to work at my coaching process, and not once have you said, this is the problem. You are experiencing this. You are going through all of this stuff. You are in a difficult position where you are providing care for. I've been through that myself, considering I took care of my parents. This is where you reveal your story. And then finally talk about, this is how I can help you. Then you're able to position yourself as an expert, because you're putting yourself in their shoes. First of all, this is personal to you, right?
Yes.
You've gone through this. If you didn't go through this, it'll be a little tricky to position you as an expert, because this is so personal to you. You've been through where serendipity has put you in this position where you are in a space where you can really help people. I want to see what you are helping with.
Okay.
And I don't think
wow.
I don't think calling you coach serves you anything. There's something missing, and coach I don't think is the right word for you, because
it does put people off, that's for sure.
Yeah, I think that's a barrier for you right now by calling yourself Coach Landry, because it sounds very sporty. It does not reflect your expertise and the depth and empathy that you provide to your clients. And it is you're basically creating a big division between yourself and your client, actually, by calling yourself a coach, because coaches are very hands-off and are distanced for a reason. I will tell you what to do. You do the thing. It's not a partnership.
Oh, it's a collaboration with me.
Absolutely.
And yeah, that partnership is important.
Yeah, I definitely think so. And there's obviously, Pam, you're an interesting person who has a lot of other interests. So you talk about your hobbies, right? Drawing, painting, writing, exercising, nutrition. We can bring all of this as part of your personal brand, because this is a reminder for other people, your clients. You have a life outside of just your caregiving duties. Don't forget that. And that's something that you can potentially bring into your business on how, hey, remember you have strengths. Let's remind yourself on who you were before you became a caregiver, and how that's very much still part of your life. Just need to draw it out, even if it's like a little bit day by day, like spending 20 minutes just writing, or 5 minutes meditating, or just like little slivers of time to remember who you are outside of caregiving. And I feel like that what you provide, that's like, I can feel something coming out of you, Pam. I can't pinpoint what, because I don't know you very well, but that's the sense that I'm getting from you.
I can see that coach. I've recognized that coach is like, they think that's all about making money and nothing else. And that's not what it is for me.
It's repositioning what it is that you actually do for your clients, and then they being able to see that immediately. These are the things that I can get for myself when I work with Pam, and it's immediately crystal clear that the benefits that you provide them is going to impact them immediately. This is not something that's going to take them a year to figure out. It's the minute you are under my wings, I will be able to help you immediately, because they need that sense of like everything's quick for them, right?
Right.
And
And it's interesting because I'm thinking they want 30 minutes and it ends up sometimes being 2 hours.
right.
And I don't tell them your time's up. No, because you're having a breakthrough and I can see it coming.
So it's repositioning that. And I think the other question that I would like to ask you is, with everything that I mentioned to you right now, just with a quick assessment on your online presence and your website, do you feel like it aligns where you want your business to be and how you want to show up for your clients?
No, not anymore. Right? It probably did last year when I had it done, simply because, well, no one had said it, had brought it up to me like you did. Basically, I was told, you're a coach. That's what you trained for. That's what you are.
Where do you want your business to be? If you were to leave an impact with your business, what would that be for you?
Ultimately, I want to help as many caregivers as I can. And I would like them to become, if I'm wishing here, I would like them to become a community where they can help each other as well. Like, especially with, I have this situation. I see that a lot in the other groups. I have this situation. Can you give me, anybody have it? How did you handle this? Meaning it's usually a resource they need, a product.
As an advocate, you are advocating on behalf of somebody else. If you have power of attorney, you have a lot more say in what happens in that person's life. And I think there's a lot of navigation that is required. They probably don't even know just how much control they have of the situation.
Probably not. My siblings didn't. They kept telling me, you shouldn't be there. You shouldn't say that. That's the doctor. I said, I need to say that. I need to call him out because I'm legally responsible to make sure that she gets what she needs, as insofar as I can make the system do it. Right?
This is what I'm thinking, like just talking to you, Pam, something like you have the power to control this situation. You want to give them the power back, because right now they're really helpless, powerless situation where their life has been turned upside down because their loved one is now 24 hours relying on them. It's a really helpless situation. Pam, you are going to help them retain that power, get that power back, and get them to realize you actually don't know how much power you have. You have the power to talk to the doctors, to demand their attention, to give them time to you, to ensure that the best care is given to my loved one. And if I'm not able to do that, I need the support to be able to corral what I need to ensure that my loved one is taken care of. It all starts with that individual, right? They don't know that. So you're basically saying, hey, you know what? Here's the key to your power. You have that power.
Right.
It's not just legal power. It's also, you mentioned intuition, right? You know when something feels right and wrong, right? You feel it in your body. But guess what? They've got a lot of disruption going on. They've got the emotional disruption, the medical.
Right. Or maybe they have, like I did, a supervisor who says, put her in a nursing home and forget about her.
Right. There's
not your call, right?
Not your call, wicked expensive, and shut up. This is my business, right? So
I didn't say shut up. There was a supervisor, but I did say not your call.
Look, really, they're going to say more than shut up internally, right?
Right. Well, yeah, there were lots of things going on in my head, but
exactly,
I still needed to work. Right.
I'm being nice by saying shut up. This is not your call to make. But this, can you imagine? Like, you are basically saying you are not powerless. You are in full control. Yeah. And I am the person, when you work with me, I'm going to help you and make you see the amount of control you have for yourself, for your loved one, for the process, for the system. Now you're able to say, hey, look at all the benefits you have working with me, because I know this stuff inside out. It's a complete different dynamic, Pam, when you do that.
It's not really. Well, I'm coaching through the questions, but I'm not really.
How are you feeling right now?
That I got to find another word. I got to find another word. But I already was thinking in terms of, since I'm getting a flack from relatives and other coaches about my title, I was already trying to go well-being, empowerment. I already was trying to put empowerment in there.
Those are just like words. They're fluffy. right?
Right. But I don't want to put anybody off by them either if they're confused.
Mhm.
And, sometimes people get, you say intuition.
What does that mean? It could mean anything, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about your gut. When, you know something, and you may not be able to say why you know, but
Right.
you do. So yeah, I appreciate that. I never thought about not being called a coach.
It sounds like, okay, there's a few things going on here. Number one, there's a lot of confusion about what to call yourself so that you are
Right.
minimizing that confusion. There's also coaching sounds a little bit taboo in your industry because there's a lot of misconception. And
Mm-hmm.
that's already a barrier between you and your ideal client. There's lack of clarity about who you know who you're serving, right? It's working
Right.
caregivers. But when we were to really narrow it down, what specifically is the problem that they're experiencing? And I think that's what we need to tighten up. Pam, we need to get you out there because you are not showing up at all online, right? So we need to raise,
Right.
yeah, we got to raise your market.
So I was correct. I need more photos.
I think don't worry about the photos for now, but it's more your name, right? In connection with all the things that you and I just discussed today. We want to be able to find you in your space when people are looking, Googling things like, I'm a caregiver, what the heck do I do now? Boom, Coach Landry is right there. You need to be able to show up in a way that people are searching for these things. No one is searching for Coach Landry, especially without a gap in between those words.
Right.
Your searchability needs to be improved. And this all starts with you and your personal brand, because right now I'm not seeing a personal brand, and you have so much potential, Pam, to sharpen what your messaging is. And my analogy is this: your clients are feeling the pain, what their situation is. What I want you to do is I want you to put salt in that wound. I want them to really feel that pain, because when you really show them what that pain is, Pam, guess what? You become the expert because you know exactly what the solution is. So think about what that wound is. And I really want you to elbow it, like really make them feel that pain. And I know that sounds kind of counterintuitive with the work that you're doing, but if it's not obvious to them,
right, if they don't see their pain,
they won't know how to fix it.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
That's why my Facebook business page has changed 3 times.
So we need to put you back in control of your business right now, so that people find you, people know exactly who you serve, what you do, and then you'll be able to charge a reasonable amount. But when they see the value that you bring, payment is not an option anymore.
Yeah.
So right now, they're not seeing the value that you bring to the table. And as a result, you become an option, as opposed to this is the thing that I need to do. They will prioritize you when they think that you are important enough to prioritize. So we don't want you to be an option that gets disregarded. We want you to be someone who someone says, I just met Pam. She's given me so much to think about. She knows my problems inside out. I need to write her name down. If I can't afford her now, I'm going to work really hard so that I can work with her in the next, 3 months, because this is urgent now. So you get on their urgent list.
Right. I haven't been on any list. And I do have to tell you one more thing. And that is I feel like I'm starting over because I had 3 eye surgeries last year. So I didn't feel like I could show up for my people with a big old patch over my eye.
Aww.
Right? Because they required it for a certain amount of time. So
Yeah.
I thought I was going to have 1 and I didn't know it was going to end up being 3.
Yeah.
So there is that. And no, I'm starting over. And so I'm looking at it this year as, okay, I did it wrong because I followed all these other people telling me what to do and it wasn't right.
Yeah.
So I'm invested in doing this because I can't bear not being able to help them.
Yeah. And I can feel that weight coming from you, Pam. Like, I know this is serious for you. You really want to help them. You really want to show up in the right way for them. Let's change that, right? Let's change that. So is this something that you can tackle by yourself, or do you feel like you need some guidance?
Some of it I can tackle on myself. I did just contract with someone I have been working with for some one-on-one, whereas I was working with them in groups that I'm trusting. I'm trying really hard not to go to shiny objects.
Yeah.
You're intriguing. You are intriguing me because you're helping me see things that no one else has helped me see. And like this other person, you didn't tell me find another niche. That's what I get told. Because they don't know how to help me, because I've been looking at awareness the whole time going, I can only get so much by word of mouth.
Yeah, exactly. And you have the same 24 hours as everyone else. So how do we maximize the time that you have? Because really, I don't want you working more, Pam. I want you working less, but still be able to bring in a sustainable amount of profit where you can live life and do what you want to do.
Here's the other thing. I want to make the amount of profit that I can sustain my business on its own.
There's a limitless opportunity there. But again, we need to figure out what that bullseye is for your business, what you're hitting, and which wound you really want to like elbow in. So that,
to help them, if they see their pain point, then they'll look further, because I don't want someone who isn't committed to helping themselves.
Yeah.
Right. And they have to understand, I'm not going to do it for you. It's your work. It's my work to walk with you and help you.
Okay. And Pam's website is coachlandry.com. So please go to her if you have this type of issue with your loved ones. Coach Pam is right there for you. And Pam, I have to say, I love the warmth that you exude. I love how deeply you feel with what you're providing. Now, I gave you a lot of hard-hitting feedback on your business. If there was one thing you were to take away from the Fairy Boss Mother, what would that be?
My website's really weak, and I thought it was really strong because I took myself out of it I on purpose, and maybe I need to put me back in.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Pam, thank you so much for your time. I hope you got a lot of value out of the short time that we have together. And I cannot wait to see what your new year's going to look like.
Thank you. And yes, I did. Whole lot of value. Thank you.
If you enjoyed this episode of the Fairy BOSSmother Show and you're a small business owner, apply to be a guest on the show and get your very own live brand review. You can apply by going to my website, www.bossdiplomat.com, or snap the QR code on this video. See you soon.